All right, let's talk about one of life's biggest paradoxes, our really complicated and, let's be honest, often confusing relationship with alcohol. Why do so many of us keep reaching for something that, a lot of the time, leaves us feeling so low? We're going to get into it.
You know this feeling, right? Waking up in the middle of the night, your heart is just pounding with this vague sense of dread and regret. It's that moment of terrible clarity that I think a lot of people know way too well.
And that's the big question, isn't it? That's what we're here to talk about. If the morning after is filled with anxiety and beating yourself up, why did the evening before seem like such a great idea, and why does it keep seeming like a great idea time and time again? So we're going to dig into this paradox because it's a super common human experience, but really understanding it means we have to look past the easy answers, like just have more willpower. We've got to look into brain chemistry, psychology, and the stories our culture tells us. And look, this isn't about some personal failing or a lack of character. Not at all. It's actually the result of this really powerful and usually invisible collision between our biology and our beliefs. So let's break down exactly what is going on here.
Okay, let's dive into the science of it. Because to really understand the pull of alcohol, we first need to understand what's happening inside our own brains. And it's a fascinating and kind of sneaky process.
So your brain is an absolute master of balance. Think of it like a super dedicated accountant who is constantly, 24/7, trying to keep everything level. This state is called homeostasis. Your brain does not like being pushed too far in any one direction, not towards too much pleasure and not towards too much pain. It just wants to stay neutral. So here's how that plays out. When you take a drink, you get that initial brief hit of pleasure. We can call that the A process. But your brain's little accountant immediately flags this and goes, whoa, 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 unauthorized pleasure, we gotta balance the books. And so it launches a counterattack. That's the B process. A wave of stimulants and stress hormones like cortisol to pull you right back down to neutral. But here's the trap. The more you drink, the smarter your brain gets at anticipating that A process. It starts launching that anxious B process earlier, and it makes it stronger every time. And pretty soon, you're not even drinking to feel good anymore. You're just drinking to quiet down the anxiety and stress that your own brain created to counteract the last drink. You're literally drinking to escape a chemical hole you're in. This analogy from Dr. Nicole Labor is it's so perfect. When your midbrain, the part that's all about survival, senses this deep, dangerous deficit, it basically hijacks your rational mind. Your frontal cortex, the part that cares about your kids, your job, your health, it just goes offline. The only thing that matters in that moment is fixing the deficit. It stops being a moral choice and becomes a biological emergency. So here's the kicker. Alcohol creates the very problems we think it's solving. It totally wrecks the deep, restorative REM sleep we need, so we wake up feeling tired. That's a huge part of a hangover. It creates a chemical imbalance that leaves us feeling anxious. And then, what happens? The next drink offers a moment of relief from that anxiety, which tricks us into believing that alcohol is the solution, not the source of the problem in the first place. It's a perfect loop. Okay, but this whole chemical cycle, it doesn't happen in a vacuum, right? It's happening inside a culture, and it gets supercharged by a lifetime of messages that tell us alcohol isn't just okay, it's essential. I mean, just think about it for a second. From the time we're little kids, we are soaking in these messages. Alcohol is how you relax. It's the reward for a hard day's work. It's secure for social awkwardness. It's basically a required ingredient for any party or celebration. It's sold to us as this normal, totally harmless, even sophisticated part of a good life. And this creates this incredibly powerful illusion. So you're at a party with your friends, you're laughing, you're connecting. Your brain is naturally releasing all these happy chemicals. But because there's always a drink in your hand, your brain makes a mistake. It gives all the credit to the alcohol. It's like the guest who shows up to a party and then takes credit for how much fun everyone is having. And this just reinforces that belief. I can't have fun without it. So we've got a chemical trap, and we've combined that with a powerful cultural illusion. But for a lot of people, the feeling is so much deeper than that. It feels like a complete loss of control. Which brings us to one of the biggest debates in this whole field. Is addiction a disease?
Okay, so there are two really dominant and actually very different ways of looking at this question. We're just going to lay them out side by side so you can really understand the core of this debate. So on one side, you have the classic disease theory. This says some people are just born genetically different, which makes addiction a lifelong, irreversible condition where total abstinence is really the only way out. But on the other side, you have the deep learning view.
This suggests addiction isn't a malfunction, it's a function. It's the brain's natural learning process just gone into overdrive on one single very powerful goal. And this view is actually backed up by data that shows most people do recover, and a lot of them do it without any formal treatment at all. I love this metaphor from Mark Lewis's book, The Biology of Desire. It suggests the addicted brain isn't broken. It's just learned a habit too well. Imagine rainwater carving a rut in a dirt path. The more it rains, the deeper the rut gets. Eventually, all the water just flows down that one path automatically. That's what happens with our neural pathways. The habit becomes the brain's path of least resistance.
So, here's the really crucial point. Whether you see it as a disease that you have to manage or a deeply learned habit that you have to unlearn, the path forward looks remarkably similar. It's all about consciously taking back control and rewriting your own story. So, what we're about to talk about isn't some magic one-size-fits-all solution. Instead, think of these as the core principles, the common threads drawn from the experiences of so many people who have successfully changed their relationship with alcohol. The goal here is to empower you with understanding. So, this journey of change seems to rest on three main pillars. First up, knowledge. You have to arm yourself with it. When you understand the science, you can finally dismantle the myths and see alcohol for what it really is. Second, community. As the author Catherine Gray says, addiction wants us alone. We find safety in numbers. Finding other people who get it is absolutely vital. And third, you have to consciously build a new life, a new identity where your joy isn't tied to a substance.
And this right here is a revolutionary idea for so many people. The goal is not a lifetime of gritting your teeth, of using up all your willpower to fight temptation. The goal is to see the truth so clearly that the desire itself just vanishes. True freedom isn't resisting the urge, it's not having the urge in the first place.
And this quote just captures the destination of that journey so perfectly. It's not about finding some perfect, problem-free life. It's about building this deep internal resilience, this peace, knowing that you can handle whatever life throws at you because you are clear, you are present, and you are in control of yourself.
So, we've unpacked the chemical trap. We've looked at the cultural myths. We've talked about the paths to change. We've seen that the story we choose to believe about alcohol has incredible power over us. So, the final question is really for you. With this new understanding, what story are you going to choose to believe from now on?